Whatever your interest is, do not be afraid to educate yourself, because the more you know, the more you grow, and the more you grow, you blossom. So yeah. So I tried planning. This was supposed to be a whole nother video, but as I was like reading and like going off of my list, I found myself stumbling over my words because I just can't, it just wasn't working out. So I guess I'm gonna let that lead me into the first trait that I believe is important when wanting to live a life of purpose, wanting to live a life of success, and wanting to live a life of just joy. So that first thing is being open to change, and being okay if you are not what other people think that you should be. So I am not the kind of person who is a planner. I don't function well with like planning everything out to the T. Even for my videos, you know, I kind of just go with the flow, do what I want to do. I have a structure, but I'm always open to changing that structure. I'm always open to doing what works for me and doing what flows. So be open to change and be okay with what you have to offer, not looking like what everyone else has to offer. Number 2, I would say being a person who follows through. Following through with what you start to completion is what I believe the key to success is all about. My biggest thing that I have learned has worked for me in life is consistency in every single area will lead you eventually to reaching a goal, to being successful, to whatever that goal is, losing weight, to creating a healthy lifestyle, to creating the life that you want for yourself. Consistency. Follow through with what you start. When I was in high school, I was prone to having several interests just like I do now. And my mom used to tell me, if you don't finish what you start, you're never going to succeed in anything. And she said that because I joined like the cheerleading team, I was on the volleyball team, I was on the basketball team. I did so many things, but I never stuck with anything. So I never got to the point of reaping the fruits of my labor. I never saw what could come of something because I never finished. And now being an adult who's in college, who has their own business, who travels part-time, who just is in a position where I no longer can afford to not set goals and follow through with them. I see how, okay, this is the fruit that comes from following through. It's being able to see, it's being able to live in the result of your hard work. So being a person who follows through is a key character trait that I believe that you need for success. Another one is do not be afraid to fail. As I mentioned recently, I am an entrepreneur. I have a cleaning business that I have had for going on 4 years. I came up with the idea in 2019, and if you have a business of your own, you know how hard, how inconsistent, how just complicated and stressful this entire process can be. But I have learned that being okay with failure and not giving up when you fail is extremely important. And so far, it's been worth it. You know, my business is bringing in money. I'm still getting clients. They just be coming out the woodworks, don't know what that's about. But I failed so many times, y'all, and I have gotten back up. And I think that's what separates successful people from not so successful people. Don't be afraid to fail. It's like failure is the stepping stones to success. Know that fear is normal. Fear is so normal. As a person who travels alone, who travels with study abroad groups, who puts themselves out there in several different areas in life, know that fear is normal. But if you allow fear to stop you, you will be stopped. You will be stopped in your tracks. If you tune into any of my vlogs recently, you know that I just went to Ghana, and that trip was fully paid for. It was fully funded by a university that I don't even go to, but I applied for the trip not knowing where I would get the money, not knowing how I would get the money, but I applied for that trip knowing that I was gonna get the money some way, somehow, and I didn't allow the fear of the unknown to stop me. And even with Dubai, as you know, that was my second international trip, and I went by myself, never been to Dubai, never even considered the Middle East, but I went by myself while being afraid, but knowing that, like, man, my purpose, my desire to do this is bigger than my fear. So being a person who does not allow fear to stop them will get you far. Be afraid and do it anyway, and go into things not expecting to be great, but knowing that it's not greatness that makes you great, it's starting that gets you to greatness. Like, you do not have to be great to start, you have to start to be great. So it is okay to be afraid, but embrace that fear. Be smart about it, use wisdom, but embracing fear and doing things anyway can and will get you far. Okay, this is one that I struggle with, but I am slowly learning to embrace this, is do not be afraid to educate yourself. Like I mentioned earlier in the video, I am not a person who enjoys planning, like sitting down writing out a YouTube video. I'm just ready to get to it. Okay, I'm ready to get to it. I'm ready to make things happen. I want things quick, like a lot of people in this generation. I like wanting what I want when I want it, right? But I'm learning that it is so important to educate yourself. It is so important to look at different perspectives, receive information for other people that can give you tools to do what you're gonna do, but better. So don't be afraid to educate yourself. Do not be afraid to invest in educating yourself. Education can come in different forms, whether it's through podcasts, whether it's through personal testimonies, whether it's through reading books. Whatever your interest is, do not be afraid to educate yourself, because the more you know, the more you grow, and the more you grow, you blossom. So yeah, and the last thing that I'm going to mention is follow your passions. Be a person who is passion driven, who is purpose driven. And of course, this does not work for everyone. I know there are some people who are calculated, who are money motivated, money driven, who are like, look, if it ain't doing this, then I'm not gonna get into it. But if you're anything like me, it is very hard for me to do things that I'm not passionate about. It is hard for me to stick to things that I'm not passionate about. And literally every success, everything that I pursue, everything that I do is in alignment with a goal that was birthed from a passion. I know we live in a generation that tells us that money is everything, and it is. And I think as the world continues to grow and to change, the need for money is growing as well. You need money to survive. So yes, money is important, but also, what is the point of having money if you're unhappy? And one of my biggest things, why I'm choosing to not give up on my goals, why I'm choosing to not give up on this dream, this crazy dream of being someone who travels for free, being someone who travels for a living, I'm not giving up on it because I desire to be happy. I desire to be fulfilled. And I know that regardless of what the world says, my dreams matter. And if I work hard enough towards them, they can happen. So don't be afraid to be purpose-driven and passion-driven, and not just driven by money or fame or status or this, that, and the third. So like most of my videos, I know this one was short. I hope I made some kind of sense. I had a whole nother video planned for y'all, but you know, this is what we got. I gotta speak from the heart, okay? I gotta talk about what I really want to talk about and not put on a facade. So this is that. Y'all subscribe to my channel because we need to get to 1,000 subscribers, and make sure you hit that notification bell because my next video is going to be me taking you guys along with me as I go through a work day as an entrepreneur. And I'm just going to be giving y'all some tips on how to start your business and how to have a successful business. So thank y'all for tuning in. Love y'all so much. And what do I always say? Don't forget to pray. Don't forget to slay all day. Okay? And I'm going to see y'all in the next one. Bye.